Eventhrone, known during the Age of Creation as Eventhrone, means the balance of natures in the ancient tongue. Since the first sunrise over Eventhrone many millennia ago, that balance has flawlessly corrected itself time and time again. But the universe is vast, and some things are beyond even the control of the gods. Gaia, the primordial goddess of life and land, is considered the matriarch of the pantheon, the mother of all living things. However, the only beings who actually share a mother and child kind of relationship with her are her descendant gods. Gaia keeps a watchful eye on all her children, but the descendant gods are the only beings, beside the other primordials, who can actually perceive and converse with her in such a way. Their close relationship with her is what causes the descendants of Gaia to behave in the same guiding, protective, and, though occasionally tough, loving way she does towards the inhabitants of Eventhrone. These are the stories of the descendants of Gaia as they shape Eventhrone during the Age of Creation, ensuring certain events come to pass and certain inhabitants live to see their destinies fulfilled. The elements of these tales change frequently, depending on who's telling them and what region of Eventhrone the storyteller is from, but these are the most widely accepted versions of those tales. A young elf wanders away from his clan's camp. He impatiently journeys into the strange new world, too busy investigating all its wonders to see the sun setting. By the time he realizes night is falling, total darkness has settled over the land. When he turns to look for the trail he was following a moment ago, none of his surroundings seem familiar anymore. The boy starts to panic as he searches for a way back to his family, unwittingly driving himself further and further into shadow. Suddenly, the void of night is filled with an array of gleaming colors as an aurora shimmers to life high above. "You seem rather lost. Allow me to show you the way back," says a kind voice. When the young elf turns to find where the voice came from, he meets the eyes of a tall man whose skin shines and glitters like pure daylight is trapped just beneath. The stranger guides the young boy back to his family along a trail of glowing flowers. Once they make it back to his family, the boy happily jumps into their arms. The worried clan of elves asks the child how he managed to get back on his own, and when the boy turns to show them that he wasn't alone, his savior is nowhere to be found. A dwarf collapses into a rocky, dried-up riverbed. He clutches at a bite wound in his calf, which painfully oozes with venom. He glances up at the grassy ledge to see the tail of a large viper slip from view. "Damn it all," says the dwarf as he throws his head back against the dirt wall in frustration. A fog creeps into the back of the dwarf's mind, steadily slowing his thoughts. "No! I have to get home." He grits his teeth as dread floods his spirit. A sprinkle of dirt falls on the dwarf's head. He slowly lifts his gaze to the ledge behind him. Just beneath the pad of grass, he spots a tangle of snakes burrowing out of the dirt. Stiffly, he dives across the riverbed and backs into the opposite wall. When he looks at them again, he realizes they weren't snakes at all. They were roots. From behind the tree those roots belong to, out steps a tall, green woman. Eat one. Confused but desperate, the dwarf limps and crawls back across the riverbed. He snaps off a piece and weakly chews on it. Your destiny does not end here. Finish the root, and you will live to see tomorrow. Without another word, the woman disappears, and the dwarf returns to health. In the midst of a terrible blizzard, a pack of weak and starving wolves trudge through the snow in search of shelter. Their skin clings to their bones, and the cold bites deep through their fur. As the wolves limp blindly across the blanket of frost, one of the rearmost members of the pack collapses onto his side. It takes a moment for all of them to notice, but the wolves circle back. The fallen wolf looks tiredly up at the others. He lets out a sad whine that's only just audible above the howling of the wind. The others push and nudge for him to stand back up, but he simply won't budge. A smell carried by the storm reaches their noses. The pack turns toward the scent and begins to growl. From out of the haze of white walks a wolf larger than any in their pack. The smaller wolves cease their growling and bow their heads as it walks up to their dying friend. It towers over him, snorts, and pushes him upright with its snout. The larger wolf confidently leads the pack through the blizzard, allowing the weakest of them to lean on him for support. A new smell reaches them, one that's sweet and smoky. There's a cave ahead with a fire and a tribe of humans inside it. Coming to an abrupt stop, the largest wolf huffs at the others, urging them to enter the cave and approach without him. The pack timidly approaches the tribe of humans, who cautiously accept them. One of the humans walks to the cave's entrance to see if there were more. There, he spots the larger wolf fading into the white, but not before standing on its hind legs and shifting into the form of a man. Deep in a forest where the redwoods grow, there lives a gnome. Each morning, just before sunrise, the gnome leaves the burrow he calls home and journeys to a nearby creek to collect fresh drinking water. One day, as he's walking along the same secluded trail he takes every day, he spots a hare caught in a hunting trap.
"You, please help me. I don't want to be someone's dinner,"
calls the hare as she fruitlessly pulls and kicks at the wooden cage. The gnome stops and thinks for a moment. After turning to see the sun cresting the horizon, he says, "The hunter who made that trap will be back any minute. If he sees me setting you free, I'm more of a gunner than you are now." The hare watches as the gnome apologetically returns to his trail and speedily resumes his journey.
"Curse you, stranger! You'll pay for leaving me like this!"
The voice of the hare echoes in the gnome's ears as he runs down the path. When finally reaching the creek, the gnome walks to the edge of the water, dipping his toes below the surface. Just when he lowers his makeshift water jug into the creek, he lifts his eyes but a moment and spots a figure in the distance. He can feel whoever it is staring daggers at him and averts his gaze. As his eyes return to the water's surface, A chill goes down his spine as they land on the faintly visible eye of a huge crocodile. Thank you all so much for watching. That's it for today's episode, but the last 4 stories of Gaia's Descendants are coming soon. As always, if you like my stories and want to support the channel at the same time, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribe or follow me, and maybe check out my Patreon. There you can find daily posts from me about how my stories and videos are coming along. You can get early access to both the written and video forms of my stories as soon as I finish them. Either way, thanks again for watching. See you.